Very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you. It is wonderful to not see people on a little black square on the screen, but to have this opportunity to meet and interact with each of you. It really is so heartwarming. To me, this is what humanity is about. It's our interactions, it's our connections, it's our friendships. And it is that has brought us to this milestone event in CAPRISA.
I hope you're all at the book launch. It was truly amazing.
It gives me a pleasure to welcome you to our beautiful city in this special occasion where we are celebrating 20 years, which is the anniversary of CAPRISA. We fully support this foundation and its work.
It's a great pleasure and an honor for me to share with you what a 20-year journey in science has meant for CAPRISA and how through this journey we have tried to make a contribution. Through the grant that was written to the NIH to create this organization, we wanted to focus on two problems. And we chose the two biggest problems. The number one cause of death in South Africa at the time was TB and HIV co-infection. And we chose the number one challenge in terms of HIV incidence. The highest incidence rates were in young women. We knew we had to take that up. And of course, in the last 3 years, we've had to deal with a new burden, the burden of COVID-19. And for us, the focus of our work has largely been on understanding the variants. But we took a strong stand against many things. One of them was not only vaccine inequity, but against this widespread promotion of ineffective treatments like ivermectin. Our role is not just about CAPRISA, but it's about the involvement of African scientists, of South African scientists, in contributing to developing the academy in all its forms and being active in that process. We've published 1,430 journal articles in 20 years. If you work that out roughly, it's about 70 papers a year. And none of this would be possible without the many partners that we have, the funders, the collaborators. This is about us working with many others to make this possible. Thank you very much.
Tell us, what are the current issues so that when we make policies in government, we can be infused by your ideas?
When we come to COVID-19, of course, there was a time when Prof. Karim's name was unanimous with COVID-19. Whenever you speak about COVID-19, people would just have the image of him, all the various eloquent presentations as our chair for the COVID-19 Ministerial Advisory Committee. But I think what we always admired Slim was that he tried by all means to simplify very complicated concepts. Thanks to your team for your tireless work and for leading us into the world of medical science. We believe that CAPRISA epitomizes how great our country's research can be, and indeed we're one of the best known research organizations and a role model not only in the country but in the continent, but also I believe in various parts of the world.
If you had any doubts, Slim's timelines for each of the big breakthroughs that we've had has on average taken 5 to 15 years, and some are still ongoing.
It is a real honor to be here for this special event. The niche that CAPRISA and its leadership can play is epidemic intelligence. I love that term, and you brought that up at our last meeting. So while you stay involved in pandemic preparedness, try using the strengths of CAPRISA in that context. Stay involved in the policy discussions and policy advice that you so aptly have given over the years.
That CAPRISA distinctively started with the necessity to solve the urgent challenges of HIV and TB for Southern Africa. and beyond. What you did was you followed the data. And the data said what many really cast a blind eye to. That recognition of what the data said, regardless of one's predisposition, regardless of lenses of bias, I think is also a critical foundation for the kinds of success and the importance of what you're doing.
Despite significant progress that has been made thus far, stigma, discrimination, unequal access to resources still exists. CAPRISA has stood firm in its commitment to achieving gender equality, engaging in extensive writing on the gendered impact of HIV/AIDS.
It's really, truly amazing, the nurturing of young talent that's been done, and to see the young talent now be senior talent at CAPRISA. Seek new knowledge, seek new discoveries, but at the same time be very cognizant that we also need to seek discoveries in how do we implement these new discoveries in the world? How do we be able to garner the benefits that, for the populations that we care about?
We are taking the tools for treatment as prevention and to reduce mortality, and we're operationalizing it through implementation science, through programmatic achievements that, again, can be partnerships between the NGOs, the academic community. CAPRISA is a perfect example, and the government and the international community. PEPFAR is a perfect example.
You refuse to be silenced, and together with so many of your colleagues, you issue a manifesto, the Durban Declaration, in support of science, and we all marched in the streets with activists. So standing up for science is clearly nothing new in your life. It was not invented because of COVID. Today, people with HIV don't need 7 pills a day, just 1 does it. In the future, we may not require 1 pill a day, but maybe 2 injections a year. That's not completely science fiction. R&D for diseases in Africa is moving to Africa. And I hope that that will remain, because that's going to make a difference. And we all count on CAPRISA to continue to be a leader in this field. Thank you so much.
And it was no surprise that during the COVID pandemic, CAPRISA stood up and used the skills it had across social sciences, across bioinformatics, across clinical, across epidemiology, to pivot when it was needed. Because we're not just about answering individual questions, we're about changing the way the system is done. And I think of all of the things you described, Slim, and all of your team, impressive as they are, it's because you changed the way that things were done. That is at the heart of your greatest achievement.
And one of the things about PEPFAR that we need to use this opportunity to thank the American people, it is, as we think about global solidarity, one of the largest commitments by any nation to address a single disease in history. And this investment has prevented millions of new HIV infections, saved millions of lives, and has really taken most African countries on the right trajectory towards ending the HIV/AIDS pandemic.
COVID taught us 3 big lessons: that we are more connected than we thought we were, that we are more vulnerable than we thought we were, and that the inequities that exist are huge and they are deeper than we thought we had. COVID didn't create those scenarios. It only exposed those scenarios. We saw how CAPRISA elevated and leveraged the HIV and TB platforms to fight COVID-19. So as PEPFAR, we have intentionally elevated that pillar and make sure that health system strengthening is a focus.
Sten was talking about senior citizens. Sten, what I see here is global giants. And I think we have a full room here because, each of the interventions have been so compelling, and we have a full room because there's such important things being said.
None of this is possible without each and every one of you. I believe this powerful philosophy of Ubuntu, humanity towards others, will remain a central tenet of CAPRISA's core research in the future. I thank you for your attention.